What are Antonio Brown working out with Russell Wilson? Clearly, he wants the Seahawks to sign him. Is that a good play from your standpoint?
Honestly, to be honest with you, any team that can get AB is a great play. He's learned his lesson, at least in my opinion he has. He just wants to play football, and so any team that can get him, he can still play. He's still one of the best receivers in the league. When you line him out wide, if they don't put a safety over the top, then you should throw the ball. If they put a safety over the top, you run to that side. He has to block the corner. It just makes football so much easier for the quarterback and the play caller.
Yeah, obviously it's the other stuff which gives people pause, and how will the league suspend him? Will he be able to play? Those sorts of things. But I agree with you. I also think that the videos put out there, it's a lot like I think the videos helped Cam Newton. Did it show us whether or not his throwing motion, if he's perfected it, whether he's back in terms of his velocity and his ability to make the throws he needs to make? No. But it signified, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it signified to the league, hey, I want to play football, right? That's what Antonio Brown's doing. That's what Cam Newton's doing, showing I want to play football. And that's a big thing because not everybody who we think wants to play football actually wants to play football.
Yeah, with Cam, he was just showing everybody, like, y'all must have forgot, like, who I am. Did y'all really forget? Okay, let me remind you guys. Number one, I'm going to remind you the type of player that I am, but I'm going to show you my work ethic. And so that's what it was. That's how I took it. He was showing them, like, I'm not afraid to work. I'm going to get out here and grind. I'm going to work every day to better myself, and I'm going to document it. So if any of you guys are doubting that or have any questions, I'm giving it to you every day. And I believe the workout videos did help him land. It's just crazy when you think how good of a player he is, and it took him this long, and for what he signed for, it's crazy.
Well, how good a player he was. Right?
No. Well, listen, you can say was, but we all know in football, and anybody that's played a long time, you play plenty of games hurt. And when you play good, it really doesn't matter. But when you play bad, you suck. But people really tend to overlook the fact he shouldn't have been on the field. He should not have been on the field. Yeah, and he was, and he suffered from that from an image perspective of his ability to still play the game. But he was banged up.
Look, I'm not disputing that he was banged up, but the parts that were banged up and have been surgically repaired are the most important parts in his ability to be successful, right? His shoulder and his legs. So, again, I'm not disputing that he played hurt. Remember last year when he came back, it was after shoulder surgery, and he said he was back, and it wasn't right. The shoulder wasn't right. Like I think that quarantine hurt him and the inability for people to examine him, and that's the Patriots are basically giving him $550,000 to do like an audition to see if he's actually healthy and if he can withstand the beating of playing the position. Like, I'm not disputing that guys have played hurt and that he probably shouldn't have been out there, but the parts of his body that were hurt are his shoulder and his legs, and those are the ones that his foot that he has to have in order to beat Cam Newton.
And that's why I believe he was putting those videos out as well to show people the quarantine hurt him, but it also helped him because he's able to focus. Without the quarantine, maybe he signs, he's in OTAs, and you don't really have a chance to work on you. This pandemic has given a lot of players, including Cam, an opportunity to heal, get better, and work on their game individually. And when you look at Cam, with the way technology is, and he's young. He's still young. I'm going to assume he's okay. Yeah, you had injuries, but when you rehab and you get the perfect amount of rest and rehab, which this quarantine has given him, he's going to be fine. To me, immediate puts New England back in contention to compete now because everybody assumed the AFC East was going to go through the Bills and maybe the Dolphins. New England's right there because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and they got him on the cheap.
Look, you're painting best case scenario, and best case scenario, I agree. They lost a lot on defense. They did lose Dante Scarnecchia, and the whole thing with Tom Brady was he didn't have enough weapons, right? Wasn't that the discussion? They didn't give him enough weapons.
Yeah.
They didn't really. They added one running back, who's not going to be a starting running back. That's all they added. Why is adding
his legs? it's his legs. It's his ability to create time in the pocket. If you look at New England, Bill Belichick, they've never had a quarterback like this. Bill Belichick had Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady, Matt Castle for a season. They've never had a quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Tom Brady has probably only run for 50 yards in a season, probably 8, 9, 10 times. Cam Newton's doing that every third game, and Tom Brady wouldn't do it. So it's just going to bring a element to the offense that they haven't had. So now Josh McDaniels, the tricky part is it a true competition? Because if it is, then if Cam Newton wins it, you're going to have a change your offense. So is Cam going to be anointed to start it? That's
the kind of my point. Now look, McDaniels did have Tebow. Okay, so he did run. So he did, and with Jacoby Brissett, with that one game he started, I think it was against Houston, right when Garoppolo got hurt.
Yes.
They ran some read option. They ran some other traditional option kind of looks as well. So they do have that in the bag. But you're right. Like, you only have 2 preseason games. Everything's going to be shortened and tightened. Are you going to run the offense that they plan to run with Jarrett Stidham? If so, that's a lot of underneath precise passing stuff. That's not Cam Newton. Or are you going to run? And then here's the other question, TJ, and this is an honest question. I understand that he was playing hurt, but the Carolina Panthers tried to make him into a drop back passer, right? They brought in Norv Turner, and that was because they didn't feel like he could play that way anymore. So this is where I say he was an unbelievably dynamic guy who could run it and could throw it. And you make up for the lack of accuracy because he was just the biggest, baddest man on the football field. But what if he's not that guy anymore and he has to rely on his arm, which has not only never been accurate, but is surgically repaired? Doesn't that change how we look at him?
Oh, 100% it changes. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of we're going to see the best Cam Newton. People really need to sit and pay. He didn't play last year. In essence, he played, the first couple games?
Yep.
And he had this entire time to get healthy. If he's not healthy now, this will be the last year Cam Newton plays football. When you have, in essence, close to a year to get your body ready, I'm expecting him to surprise some people and play extremely well because he's healthy. He's been able – you go through a season and say you don't make the playoffs, you're done the second week of January.
Mm-hmm.
You might – if you have injuries, you're rehabbing. But if your body's just banged up, you rest. You don't really have but a month and a half, maybe 2 months to work on your body. And then here comes OTAs. Guys have had 6, 7, 8, 9 months to just hone in on their body and get healthy. And so that's why I'm going to say he's going to be healthy. And it's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, my God, why didn't we take a chance on him? And that's what I foresee happening. I mean, he's too good of a player.
TJ Houshmandzadeh joining us here in the herd. I'm Doug Gottlieb filling in for Colin. It feels like these teams have even more leverage than before because there's no OTAs. There's nothing to hold out and no-show from. Chris Jones tweeted out that he won't play for the Chiefs in 2020. He does unless he gets a new contract, right? Or I won't play. Le'Veon Bell told me about this. Like, dude, Le'Veon Bell is not a success story, Chris.
Man, Chris Jones, man, go get your money, man. Like, I get it. I truly get it when they want a long-term deal. But being franchised and the amount of money that you get for 1 year.
$16.1 million, TJ. That's what he would make.
It's not a bad thing. Yeah, you want long-term security. You're young, and you believe in yourself. You're going to get it. And you don't go into any season or any game saying, oh, man, I hope I don't get hurt. Just play the game. Go get your money. And if you don't want to play the game, you do what Le'Veon should have done. You show up, and mysteriously your back or your hamstring is bothering you.
Right.
Like, you don't let that money go. And so, Chris Jones, please, bro, go get your money. Le'Veon, he might have told you what to do, but he didn't do the right thing.
TJ Houshmandzadeh joining us here in the herd. Okay, so you mentioned kind of the holdouts. We have 2 preseason games instead of 4. that fourth game is really was always for the guys that weren't going to make the club. The first game, the ones usually played a series or two. How much does this change the dynamic of the first month of the season with fewer snaps in the preseason?
What teams have been doing as of late, they rarely played their starters anyway, and so what it hurts though is the young guys, the free agents. You probably won't see many undrafted free agents make the team this year. It was where the young guys got those reps. For the starters, you look at the Rams, they didn't play, and so it's par for the course for them. It really doesn't matter. Other teams, the starters might play a total of 3 quarters total in the preseason. And so if you can just do that in one game, practice is very important. The starters didn't play much in the preseason. You look at certain teams, like I said, like the Rams, they didn't play them at all. And so this really hurts the young guys, the undrafted free agents, the late-round draft picks that in Game 4 would have pretty much played the entire game and had a chance to kind of show he deserved to play in the league.
TJ Houshmandzadeh joining us in the herd. Baker Mayfield. What's interesting about Cam Newton, the only other team to reach out to Cam Newton was the Cleveland Browns. And obviously, I mean, that would be an unbelievable backup. I'm not sure it'd be great for Baker Mayfield to look over his shoulder and see number one with his helmet on in case he screws up. But this is a make-or-break year for Baker. He's got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. He's got OBJ and Jarvis Landry. They have Austin Hooper as a highly paid tight end who can catch the football to go along with David Njoku. They seem to have tried to fix that offensive line, and they brought in a coach who, you look at what they were able to do in Minnesota, establish the running game and protect Kirk Cousins and put him in play action. Like, all that seems to make sense. Will it work? Can you fix? Because my fear with Baker in that system is you're going to have an unhappy OBJ and or Jarvis Landry because they run it so much. Those wide receivers aren't going to see the targets like they want. Does Baker then, one, does he have it? And two, does he start forcing it to those guys? In your mind, does the Cleveland plan work?
It has to work. Did you just hear what you said to me? The names of players, they have the best skilled positional players in the league, and I don't believe it's close. Their backups are starters on a lot of teams. Now, will it work? I believe it will work. And you say, they're going to run the ball. I'm not so sure of that. And people point to Stefanski, his offense in Minnesota, but people have to realize Mike Zimmer wanted to run the ball a lot because that's his philosophy. Is that really Stefanski's MO? Is that really what he wants to do?
Yes.
And so
yes, TJ. Yes, TJ. Yes, he wants to. TJ, why would a guy see such success, get a job based upon that success, and then go to Cleveland and go, the way I got this job, I'm going to do it a different way? Like, that just doesn't.
Mike
Zimmer's a defensive guy,
right? And defensive guys play defense and want you to run the ball. Why did he get rid of DeFilippo? Because he wouldn't run the ball,
right?
Because he wouldn't run the ball,
and they didn't win, and they won when they ran the football.
I'm not saying he's just going to abandon. Every coach wants to run the ball, but
right.
We're not running. When you got OBJ, Jarvis Landry, and Kareem Hunt, and the tight ends you just named, and Hooper and Joke, you're going to throw the ball 55, 60% of the time. That's the strength of your team. And then when you get the lead, we will run the ball to win the game. And so that's, I'm assuming, is his plan. With the weapons they have, I foresee the Browns being a playoff team. Baker can play. He just needs to calm himself down and stay in check. But he can play. It makes it easy. You got those type of guys playing with you. Get them the ball. Let them make you look good.
Yeah, listen, I can't wait. Like, look, I hope we have an NFL season starting away because you got them against Baltimore. People forget they did beat Baltimore last year, but that'd be on the road.
The Steelers with Big Ben coming back, man, that division, wow.
That division is. And look, the Bengals, they couldn't be worse. I think they'll be better. People forget how banged up they were. Didn't have A.J. Green last year. Mixon, you Mixon, and we'll see about Burrow. But my point was the Browns, they got Baltimore, but then they got Cincy and the Skins at home. To me, how they start is going to be a huge part of how that story plays out. TJ Houshmandzadeh, Pro Bowl wide receiver. You see him on Speak for Yourself. You hear him here in the herd. TJ, great stuff. Thanks so much for joining us.
Doug, I appreciate it, man. Keep up the great work, bro.
All right.